use cases of generative AI. In fact, this list is not exhaustive. It's so many. You can do so many things with generative AI. So these are examples of generative AI systems. We'll use some of them practically soon. So, for example, you may have all heard about ChatGPT. We also have Bing AI. Bing AI, now they've renamed it as Copilot. It's now called Copilot. Then we also have Google Gemini. Formerly, it was also called BARD, Google BARD, but they faced some marketing problems, so they had to just change the name to Save Face. Then we have so many other ones like Notion, Jasper, DAL-E, and then so many others. These are other examples. So under the various use cases, you can see some of them. So text generation. If we say text generation, you give it a text prompt, and then it also outputs a text prompt for you. ChatGPT can do that. Another one is called Cloud. Another one is called Gemini. And then one very famous one also called DeepSeek R1 from China. And then this one is from Meta or Facebook, the owners of Facebook. They came out with this particular one, which anyone that uses WhatsApp can access this particular one. So if you're on WhatsApp, all you have to do is to go to your search and then you see something like Meta AI. That Meta AI, you can ask it any question and it will be able to give you answers. In fact, not just image generation, the Llama
Get back and make call.
by Meta can be used for image generation. The
And
Llama
when I'm
4
get
just
back, make
came
call. No, no,
in
what
March.
because
It came in
of
March, so it's very new and it's very powerful. This one also is owned by the
audio.
Twitter boss X.AI, Grok. So Elon Musk's company also has this. And the Grok 3, I think it came either February or March, and it's also very powerful. It's equally as powerful as the Chat GPT. So you can explore this one also. If you want to explore this one, it's called grok.com. Just click on grok.com. You can also access it on Twitter or X. Then this one is a Chinese version also. I think it's owned by either Alibaba or one of those big Chinese companies. And then we have Minstrel. We have some also for image generation. Image generation means that you can imagine anything and ask it to generate anything for you. So you can ask it to generate a fisherman in a canoe at sunset with mountains in the background. When you do that, it will be able to generate it for you. Any of this should be able to do it for you. Uh, the audio generation. In the nearest future, anyone can be able to, for example, generate music, especially. So you can generate your own song. You you give it lyrics or you ask it to generate lyrics and then generate instrumentals and then even generate voice. So it becomes a full music. So we have such systems that are already in place. Uh, they are free, but if you want to use the premium features, you pay for it. So Udio and Suno are the most popular. But this one is by Google, and this one is by OpenAI ChatGPT, and this one is by Meta. We also have some for video generation. For the video generation one, they are still under development, but they've been letting us have a quick overview of it, meaning that you can just give any prompt about videos and then it will be able to generate the video that you want. Then we also have some for code generation. For example, the ChatGPT can also be used to generate code, but these are special ones. The codex by GitHub Copilot can generate very large amounts of code. Llama can also do that, and then DeepSeek Coder has also been proved to be very powerful. Now, before we start the actual prompt engineering, there is one thing you should know that as of now, generative AI is just an experiment. It's just that they want to start making money. That's why they've started making us use it. In fact, it was under development and they were keeping it in the mute. They didn't really want anyone to start using it. Google was trying to be very careful until ChatGPT released their version, and then everyone had no option than to start releasing them. So as at now, most at times, most of these generative AI, they produce incorrect responses. If we say incorrect responses, it means that most at times the AI doesn't want you, maybe for example, to feel that it doesn't know certain things. So no matter the question you ask, it will give you responses. So it is our responsibility to make sure that we read through whatever response that is given, and then we judge for ourselves whether the information is correct or not. Always make sure that you read through information that is given you by generative AI, because as at now, most at times, it doesn't reason. Let me say it that way. I will explain to you what we call reasoning later. It only does mostly information retrieval. As at now, most of the generative AI is not really creating anything. It is just uh, giving you information on based on the data that it has. So please always make sure that you read through information given to you by generative AI before you make any further steps. Because another one is that generative AI is over reliant on the data that is being trained on. So sometimes it can contain biases. So, for example, uh, you and I know that the most popular or commonly used language in the world is English. So, most of the data on this generative AI is trained based on English language. So, if we have minority languages and then maybe I want to translate from English to uh, Akan or any other maybe Ghanaian language, for example, it is likely to give translation problems because there is less information about some of these languages on the internet. It is now that we are trying to gather enough information about some of these languages. So sometimes it can create what we call biases. Sometimes, in fact, I told you Google faced some backlash and they had to change their name from BARD to Gemini. It was due to some of these biases. There were cases where someone would type that, okay, generate an image of an old man on a bicycle in the village. And then they produce the image of a black man mainly because maybe they assume that black it's only the blacks that stay in bicycles. And some of this stuff actually caused a lot of backlash against Google. So they had to pull down their model and then redo everything and then rebrand themselves as Gemini. So that is not the only bias. There are so many biases in the system. And then we'll be discussing even some of those biases from a chat GPT paper and how they solved it. Another thing that you should note about generative AI before we start, I hope we all hope that all these things will be solved. So far as it's a problem, I feel every problem can be solved. In the near future, all this will not really be a problem again. Another problem is most at times this really doesn't have genuine comprehension. It doesn't really understand the prompts that we give. That is why we have what we call prompt engineering, so that we can fine tune our prompts and then we can make our prompt as efficient as possible so that the generative AI will know exactly which answer to give you. So, these are some of the other ones. So, we'll also be discussing generative AI in the classroom. I'll pause on this particular one, generative AI in the classroom. That would be the last part that we'll discuss. Uh, One common thing about all this generative AI is that all we have to do is to give it a prompt and then it will give us an answer. So they all have one thing in common. You give a prompt and then it gives you a response, as you can see over here. So here the person is saying create a web page with three columns, header and then a footer. And then it will start giving the answer. That is the bottom line of it. So let's come to the actual. Now that we understand what AI is, and then we have a basic overview of what AI can do, we want to zoom into prompt engineering now. So this is a very long definition and this is a very simple definition. So basically, it is the process of designing, refining, and optimizing input prompts. So meaning that nowadays it's not just anything will just come into your mind and then you type, but there are certain techniques that are involved. So meaning that first of all, you have to design your prompt. Refine it means that there are certain things that you don't need in the prompt, remove it. And then optimizing it means that make sure that the AI can understand exactly what you want so that you guide a particular model because these models are just mathematical models. And then at the end of the day, their goal is to produce more accurate outputs. So we do that. The cost efficiency there, that one is more too technical, so we'll not talk about that. Now, let's come to the architecture of a prompt. One, you have to know what a
What?
token is. Usually, computer scientists have another name for it. We call them terms, term, term. But for marketing purposes, we call it token here. What is a token? A token is simply the number of words that a particular AI model can accept. So if you see 106 tokens here, it means that if you count this, all the way to this place, it is 106. Characters in this case means that WRITE is what? 5 characters. So usually every generative AI has the number of tokens that it can take. So some are having more tokens than the other. Some are having more tokens than the other. So meaning that there are some that can take large amounts of input than other ones. So and some of them too, if you want to get more tokens, you have to pay for it. So you have to take note of that. That also you can search it up on the internet. It's not hidden information. If you go to their pricing information and all those other stuff, you will see the tokens. So first of all, we now know what a token is. Now let's look at the actual principles of prompt engineering. Before uh, we go into the anatomy of a prompt, we first of all have to discuss the principles. Three basic principles. First of all, anytime you are giving a prompt, you have to know that the more criteria you give, the more focused the output will be. Some of us, we don't know how to ask
Imagine.
information. So we ask two general questions. And the dangerous aspect of it, I'm a teacher, so I've been seeing that some people, when they are
Mo
doing
flag am.
assignments, they just ask if the AI a very basic question, very general question. They don't even read the response, and then they copy everything and then paste it as an answer for you. That is very wrong. I'm not coming to teach you how to cheat in assignments or projects or exam. The goal of this whole prompt engineering is to help us as students, and also later we will not be students forever, we'll be working. How to use AI in a very efficient manner to study and also to brainstorm. So over here, always make sure that you are very specific. You are very specific. Give a very detailed uh, prompt of whatever you want. The next step is that sometimes whatever you want to information on is a very big answer. So what you can also do is that you can break whatever you want to get information on into various chunks and then ask one by one. I will show you how to do that one also today practically. Then anytime you give a prompt, always make sure that you iterate, rework the input, and then improve on subsequent inputs. So those are the basic principles of prompt engineering. So what makes a good prompt? First of all, anytime you are clear and concise with the language, you are direct and then you are unambiguous. Your prompt doesn't mean two things. None of us likes ambiguous statements. If you see something that means two things, I can give you information on any. So make sure that you have a direct language and then you are unambiguous. Most at times too, you have to assign a persona to the AI. I will show you how to do that. Meaning that I told you that generative AI can is more or less like a human being, one human being that can do so many things. It can be a lawyer, it can be a doctor, it can be a coach, a personal coach, it can be a health coach, it can be your English teacher, it can be your friend teacher, it can be your nursing teacher, it can be your accounting teacher. So many things. So if you assign a particular persona to that particular generative AI, it will
That's the
give
only
you
thing don't that
much
one do.
better answers suited to whatever
That's the only thing don't that one
you
do.
want as an answer. So we'll learn how to do that today.
In fact, if I
The
don't
next one
know
is that the information that's and examples that you provide to your input are also very important. So
owó
most
lẹ́yìn
of
ọmọ
times
làwọn
you
tó fẹ́ sọ
can
fún wọn.
provide examples, and it can also uh, you can also make reference to previous chats in your chat history. As I told you earlier, one good thing about generative AI is
Àti
that it
gbà
knows how to understand your conversations. So you can chat with generative AI for the next 1 hour, for the next 2 days, for the next 1 week. So far as you don't switch context, it will keep giving you information. You can even refer to previous conversations. And then when you switch the chat to something else, it's able to also know that you have changed subjects. So let me also change subject in my responses. So you have to know about that one also. Then you can also give a specific
bí
task
èlò
that
à ń
you
wọ̀
are
ọ́
requesting
together
to
báyìí.
complete, and then
Bí èlò là ń wọ̀ ọ́
it will
together when
give
àti ẹ̀
you
lè mọ
a
àti tá bá gbé
response
lọ́dọ̀
based on what
àtẹ̀mí.
you desire.
Èlò àwọn àfi lọ
And then
kọ̀ báyìí.
once you receive a response, you can refine or reiterate to get
7K.
better results. So those are the things that make a good prompt. So first of all, to make a prompt, define the goal of the prompt, use relevant keywords. I'll show you how to use relevant keywords. After that, write the report, the prompt, test, evaluate, and then
Màdé tẹ̀bà
iterate.
ní bóyá pé
Now,
mo ti gbé tọ̀dọ̀ mi dé.
before, so
Ṣé ń gbọ́ mi?
I'll pause for you to ask questions
Mo
before
ní
we
tẹ̀bà
move on.
ní
If you
bóyá
have
pé
any
mo gbé
question, you
ọ̀rọ̀
ask.
mi
If
dé.
you don't have any, I move on.
Ọ̀rọ̀ tèmi dé. Èmi ò bá ní ká sẹ́ǹdì 7K because àwọn nǹkan tó wà níbẹ̀ lè bàjẹ́ o. At least kán tó gbé 1K. But at least a ṣì ní ká ṣẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ ká ti kọ́kọ́ clear part yẹn náà ṣe get. Tí nǹkan mi bá dẹ̀ wọlé a máa mọ̀ pé a máa fi dì padà. Àbí kí lẹni mo sọ?
Oh, any question from anyone?
Please, this is an avenue for us to please ask questions, please. Hello, Mr. Crystal is waiting for our question, please. In the presence of no question, we might have no other option than to continue.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's
from my
continue.
point of view, there are no questions. Krista, please, yeah, let's continue with it. So,
All right, sure. So we are moving on. Okay, so let's come to prompt anatomy. So, meaning that it's more or less like human anatomy. A human being has several parts. So, a prompt also has several parts. You don't just ask questions anyhow. there are certain things that have to be in the prompt that are very important that we want to look at. Number one, the instruction. Anytime you are giving a prompt, you first of all have to give an instruction. And what is an instruction? You are instructing it to do something. As I told you, generative AI can do almost anything. So whatever you want it to do, you have to give it specific instructions. So you all know that anytime you want to give an instruction, you use verbs. So if you notice here, there is a verb here. The verb is what? Write, meaning that you've given it specific instructions to write. Then the instruction is not just a verb. What are you writing? A product launch email. So product launch email, meaning that this is a noun phrase. So this is a verb. This is a what? A noun phrase. A product launch image. For what? For new headphones. For new headphones. So here you notice that the instruction has been clearly given. So the generative AI will know exactly what to give you in the response. Now, the next thing that a lot of us don't add is what we call input data and context. What is input data? Sometimes it's a product launch for new headphones, but there may be some extra information. For example, AI powered. The headphone is AI powered, and the price is $7.99. Maybe there is a discount, so you should also be able to state the discount. So now you are more specific. You've given it an input data to rely on, and we call that input data. Also, you also have to give it a context and then target and then example. So this is an example. So here, the person even gave an example for the prompt to follow. The context is, for example, the tone is friendly and exciting. So you are giving it context to work with, that the tone should be friendly, it should be exciting. So here too, you have to give context anytime you are writing a prompt. And then the target and format. So this is a target. Output as a JSON object with subject and body fields. Sub target simply means that how should it finally be? Should it be, this is a technical term. Those who do programming know what a JSON object is. Maybe you want it to be in PDF form, or maybe you want it to be in table form, or maybe, for example, you even want it to be an image or a video, because in the near future we should be able to have all those type of generative AI where you can generate a video. Maybe you even want it to be an email to someone, then that becomes the target. You want to personalize how it will be presented. So at that point in time, you've given full information about that particular prompt. And then here they've even given an example of how the prompts should be. In this case, this JSON format. That's for computer science students to understand. So basically, this is prompt anatomy. Now, let's move on. Anytime you are giving a prompt, you have to be as detailed as possible. So this is an example. This, if I say formula, I'm just referring to the syntax. So here, for example, you are asking it to play a particular role. So you are saying you are an expert marketer. Create 5 emails ending with a call to action. Then the goal is to drive sales. The emails are for online audience and entrepreneurs. So meaning that you've given it context,
First
and
we
then the
want.
emails should be friendly and less than 200 words. So you've given it guidelines to work with. This is another example. So when you are asking generative AI to do something, be very specific. You can ask it to play a role, give it the end target, give it the context, and then give it extra guidelines or constraints to work with. And that is how you write a prompt. Now, These are simple prompts. Usually, I wrote these simple prompts for here because anytime you want to
Mm.
start a
So I
conversation
like
with
the
AI, you can actually start from
Madia.
simple prompts, meaning that you don't even know what you are coming to do yet. So you ask or you start from a very simple prompt and then you start getting into details. You start getting into details about that particular prompt. But if you observe this particular set of prompts here, the most important thing is that you will see verbs throughout. You will see define, elaborate, create, construct, help, suggest, brainstorm, draft, list, formulate, create, compose, sum up, design, compose, recommend, craft, transform, translate. So they are all verbs. And then you notice that they now give specific details of whatever we are supposed to do. Now, let me give you certain use cases of prompts in our various fields. So, the IT and computer science students, for example, you can ask a generative AI to write a Python function to reverse a string or create a function that checks if a number is prime or implements a stack using a Python list. So these are very simple prompts. Then after these, you can now go into specific details. I'll share the PPT with you after the presentation so that you can explore some of these prompts in details. Now let's come to the nurses. These are examples of simple prompts. So explain the rights of medical administration. How do you measure a patient's vital signs? Describe proper hand uh, hygiene techniques. Describe how to safely transfer a patient from bed to wheelchair. How do you position a, a patient to prevent pressure ulcers? Now, why did I give you this set of simple prompts? I gave you this set of simple prompts because we are all students and then we it's not everything that a teacher can teach us because most of the times in a week you just have 2 hours for a particular course. So if we also don't have 24 hours to go to the library, you can use generative AI to study. So maybe sometimes you've been asking questions, maybe you are even at work, you are in the hospital and then you don't know certain things, you can quickly refer to this generative AI to quickly what know how to do some of these things, such as how to you want to quickly position a patient, and then maybe uh, you were not taught in the classroom or you were not taught at practical. You can quickly check how to do that, and then even get more information about this so that you can do the right thing. You can also do it in your private, use it in your private personal studies. So let's try one of these prompts. Which one should we prompt? Is there any nest here? Any nest here? Okay, you let's move on. Let's try this one. How do you measure a patient's vital signs? I don't know if you can see my. Can you see my chat screen?
No, please. You can
You
only
can
see the
see it.
presentation.
You can only see the presentation. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, so let me stop sharing and then share the chat screen. I'm actually using two screens. I don't know why. Okay, can you see now?
Yes, yes, sir. I can see it
Okay,
now.
very good.
Oh yes,
So
sir. Yeah,
let's
we can
try
see.
this. Okay, let's try this as a nurse now. We want to learn how to check the vital signs of a patient. So I'll ask, how do I check the vital signs of a patient? So we start from this. As I told you, we want to learn how to use this to study. So first of all, it will give us information. And in fact, all these other ones too can do it. The Meta can do it. How do I check? This is the one by Facebook. You can access it on WhatsApp. Can you see the Meta screen also?
Oh, we can only see the chats,
The
the
chat
chat
GPT.
GPTs. Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know why they are showing it that way, but I'll figure it out. Okay, so let me refer to the chat GPT. Okay, so you can see it here. They are saying that the normal rate of a patient for adults should be 60 to 100 beats. Your heart should beat 100, 60 to 100 beats per minute. You can check by using your middle and your index and middle finger to press lightly on the radial artery inside of the wrist below the thumb. Count the number of beats for 30 seconds and multiply by 2, or count for 60 seconds for more accuracy. Alternatively, you can use a pulse meter or electronic monitor. Then body temperature, they've given us this. Respiratory rate, they've given us watch and the rise and fall of the patient's chest and all this. So maybe I want more details about how to check the heart rate of the patient. So I can now go ahead and then give me more information on how to use the term to check the heart rate or pulse of the patient. So here it will now go into more detail. So now we started with a very simple prompt, but we've now gone into details where it is giving us more details. Here it's saying that one, you shouldn't use the thumb because it has its own pulse and it's quite strong. So if you use your thumb to check another person's pulse, you might feel your own pulse instead of the patient's pulse, leading to what inaccurate readings. The correct way is to what? Use your wrist. So the most common and convenient method is to what? Ask the patient to relax their arm, palm facing up. Use your index and middle fingers.
Yes, sir.
Place your fingers on the thumb side of the wrist, just below the base of the thumb along the radial artery. Then press gently until you feel the pulse. Then count the beats and then do this. So here you'll notice that they've given so much information to you now, including more professional tips such as making sure that the patient is resting, also making sure that you
Always
don't
welcome.
press too hard, and then checking if the rhythm is irregular. So if it's irregular, make sure that you count for 1 minute or use a digital monitor for what? Confirmation. So here it has given you a very, very, very detailed response. And then you can keep asking more questions from this point in time. So the guideline is that sometimes if you don't know where to start from, always give very simple prompts, give general prompts. After it has given you the general information, you can zoom into it and then ask detailed information. Okay, so let's let me stop sharing this particular screen and then we move back to the PPT. Okay, so that's just an example. Let's move on. Okay, so the BBA student who can try this prompts as simple prompts. How do I calculate net profit? What do we use a balance sheet for? Define working capital and its importance. What is the time value of money? And so many other prompts. You start from there and then you move or zoom into much more details as and when you don't understand something about it. The education students you can try this. Describe the inquiry-based learning approach. What is differentiated instruction? How does cooperative learning benefit students? Right. So just be curious enough, and then you are good to go. When you are learning, you should be able to ask very interesting questions. Nowadays, intelligence will be measured by uh, how good you can ask questions, and then how good you can comprehend whatever AI is giving you. Now, these are some other examples of prompts. I'm interested in creating an Instagram page that covers travel. What ideas do you have on topics I could include, such as budget friendly destinations and hidden gems to visit? So, when you do this, it will give you full information. So, here, the the phrase or the verb has been given to you in terms of question. Instead of saying create topics that I could include, such as budget, this person is asking, what ideas do you have on topics I could include? So you can ask in that particular format also. It will be able to do it. Here too, it's saying I'm working on a newsletter that focuses on technology. Can you email topics that could be engaging for my audience, such as the latest gadgets and what software updates? One thing you should know also that you can use AI to write so many things, such as memos, emails. Maybe you want to reply an email, you should be able to do that. So there are so many practical everyday uses. You can also use this for email campaigns that showcases the features of my new products and all that. I'm interested in a web page that outlines the benefits of my coaching services. You can also use it to act as a customer support assistant who is analytical. How would you respond to a representative of our tech startup, to a customer who has experienced a bug while using our software? These are another practical everyday prompts. So I'll leave these ones to you to go and explore and try yourself. Now let's zoom into the prompting techniques now. These stuff are very important. So let's discuss them one by one. Now we'll be discussing 8 prompting techniques. So the first one is what we call prompt priming. So what is prompt priming? Prompt priming. It refers to the technique of providing initial information or context within a prompt to guide the AI's subsequent responses. Especially, it's about setting the stage for the AI to produce outputs that are more aligned with your desired outcome. So, one, it allows the users to influence the AI's tone, style, and specific content it generates. Now, I'll give you an example. So, one, it provides context, precision, and then practical application. So, for example, you are setting the
Yeah.